Most every sorcerer had heard the claims that an untamed, bloodthirsty monster was on the prowl. Numerous sorcerers had tried to hunt down the terrible werewolf, but they were outmatched. Each returned from the hunt as a harrowed corpse. I was acquainted with several of the victims. I had decided to make the werewolf my next target, and I should not deceive my reader. It was personal. A sorcerer approached me, asking if he might come on my hunt. His name was Venator. A one-eyed sorcerer.
Let's get started, before I start aching. Those start going soft now, right? Don't let your guard down. It'll start going soft now, right? Sacrifice, eh? Don't lay your guard down. Don't start going soft. A sacrifice, eh? Don't lay your guard down. Sacrifice, eh? You're bleeding, are you?
arrived at the afflicted area, the great werewolf had already fled.
Why won't it show itself?
As we gazed at the hunks of flesh left in the werewolf's wake, Venator told me of his long history with the Wolfman. Though he had no history at all. The werewolf had the peculiar habit of appearing in places in close proximity to Venator. As a result, Venator had lost many associates to the beast.
Has it something against me?
Could it all be a coincidence? My question was met with a swift answer.
That's what I intend to find out.
And a female sorcerer approached me. There was a reason that this woman, Sorora, had come to me discreetly. She wished to talk to me alone, away from Venator. I did not ask the specifics, but evidently Sorora knew Venator very well. She told me that Venator had been closing in on the werewolf for an entire decade.
Do you not find that odd?
How could a decade pass without a confrontation? There must be an explanation. Her theory was sound, and I was tempted to become a believer. Morning came. We were told that the werewolf appeared nearby the night before.
Let's get started before I start aching. It's yours. Do what you like with it. Nice move. You ain't bleeding, are you?
We arrived, but once again the werewolf was gone. Venator sighed. He spoke about his past, how he had lost his eye, his wish to encounter the werewolf. To have his wish granted, he gave his own eye. He had given up a part of his own flesh, but still the werewolf had never revealed itself.
What do you reckon? Huh? Does this werewolf even exist?
Perhaps Venator, too, was nearing the same conclusion as I. Now that she knew everything, Sorora was worried about him. One day, someone would have to tell him the truth. Have you ever caught a glimpse of this werewolf? Even once? Faced with this question, Venator became visibly anxious. He made a confession. Sometimes he would wake up in the morning in an unfamiliar place. It was clear as day. The reason why the werewolf struck in places near Venator, and why Venator had never crossed paths with the werewolf. It was because Venator was the werewolf himself. What Venator had so long detested was but another form of himself. He buried his head in his hands.
Keep an eye on me for a while, will you?
He wanted a witness to observe his moment of transformation. It was the third day of keeping watch over Venator. We heard news that the werewolf had appeared in a different location. I had not taken my eyes off Venator for a moment. We left for the scene, so that Venator could finally face this beast.
Let's get started, before I start aching. You pull your own weight through here. I've got scars enough already.
Someone... Please...
You ain't bleeding, are you? It's just a scratch. soft now, right?
This is really tougher than I thought.
Tough bastard.
Come on, focus. Listen. Our enemy is whimpering. This is proving tougher than I thought.
Bastard's getting weaker. Don't be a god now.
Perhaps you can show some mercy.
We did not find an exhausted man after his rampage as the werewolf. We found something else. It was small and round. Venator let out a scream. It was a human eye. It all came together in one moment. Venator had spent years pursuing this beast known as the werewolf, not realizing that he was the beast himself. His desperate desire to encounter the werewolf gave birth to a proxy, created at the cost of one eye. How could he not realize this, despite it being a part of his own body? Perhaps he knew, deep down inside, but chose not to accept that the werewolf was himself. Venator rampaged over the land. Sorora came to me in tears. Please do not kill my savior. She told me that she had met Venator a decade earlier. Sorora had not been a sorcerer for long when she contracted a rare idiopathic disease after an encounter with a monster. She became covered in the fur of a wild beast. Then she met Venator. It was Venator who cured her of this awful disease. Only The disease was not in fact cured. The parasite that caused it had only changed hosts. Now it grew in Venator. If the werewolf is not put to rest here and now, he may strike again.
Wait!
Sorora''s breathing had become unsteady.
No! Don't kill him!
As she explained, her eyes shone with resolution.
Please! I'll be how I once was!
Sorora embraced Venator. Finally, Venator spoke. Several days passed.
Thank you for everything.
I met Venator. His wounds had healed. It was an incredible recovery. But when I asked about Sorora, gray clouds seemed to form.
I was friends with her brother.
Sorora's older brother was also a sorcerer. Venator and her brother had hunted together from a young age. They faced a monster together, but Sorora's brother died, and Venator survived. The brother had wanted nothing more than his sister Sorora to be safe.
I will look after her instead of him.
Now his only wish was to cure her strange disease. His expression eased.
I suppose I can stop chasing myself now.
The hulking sorcerer Venator is still out there somewhere, freed from his own delusions, free to care for a special girl.